I say pre-generated, like really pre-generated, the way that they've done their pre-generated characters,
very good.
Join the team.
Hey team, this is McGuire Review, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Paizo Starfinder Beginner Box Set. Now, before we get into this video, this is going to be a double whammy video. Well, actually it's probably going to be a triple whammy. We're going to actually unbox what's here in the Starfinder Beginner Box. We'll take a look at all the components. We're also going to get into what you'll find from a Starfinder RPG, some of the things that make up what Starfinder is. We're going to talk through some of those things as well. And then the third piece, which is maybe one of the most important pieces, is you're also going to get a full playthrough or how-to Starfinder, which is going to start this Friday. What's the date? You're also going to get a full playthrough and how-to on this beginner box set starting this Friday, January the 15th, and then again on January the 29th. Now, that is on Twitch on a channel called Band of Badgers. If you don't know what Band of Badgers is, that's where I'll do a lot of my live roleplay, stream play. It's a great group. Go to Twitch, check them out, follow them there. They also have a YouTube channel as well here on YouTube, where you can find them, Band of Badgers. Go ahead and subscribe to that YouTube channel as well if you're watching this, if you can, and that's where you get all the live play of stuff like this. It's a ton of fun. So, if you want to see exactly how this box set plays out, exactly what this is about, join us on Friday, January the 15th at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you'll be able to watch this game get live played, and I will be playing the character Obasiah. So, it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're really looking forward to that. Okay, so let's get into the box set that we have from Paizo Starfinder. Now, I'll say as we're opening this up, these box sets that Paizo produces, both for Starfinder as well as Pathfinder, we got the brand new Pathfinder beginner box set right here, and some other Pathfinder as well as Starfinder core rulebooks. Both Pathfinder and Starfinder are under the Paizo brand, and they do a really, really good job with what they have in their beginner starter box sets. I just find that it comes out really easy. It's easy to get into. The materials, the way they've designed it, it just flows really well. It's a very, very well-designed product. So the product owner or product designer on these box sets, big thumbs up. So right off the bat here in the box, you're going to have, before you go any further, read this page to help you get started with Starfinder Beginner Box Set. And it's just going to list out some general things. What is Starfinder? Get a group of people to play. If you don't have a group of people to play initially, one thing that's nice about this box set, which you don't always see a lot, is there's an actual solo. You can't really, you could call it a campaign. It's a little solo adventure, but there's a little solo adventure that's included in here where you can play all by yourself. And it's kind of a choose your own adventure. You'll be presented with a script. You can kind of choose, what do I want, this option or that option, and you can go different routes. Oh, go to this subscript if you chose that route. And I found it to be really fun and really cool. Get a little bit of Starfinder lore, and it teaches you how to play the game. So really well done with that. If you do have a group, then there's a few choices you can make. You can either grab one of the pre-generated characters that are included in this box set. And when I say pre-generated, like really pre-generated, the way that they've done their pre-generated characters, very good. Okay? You also got the character sheets where you can create your own character if you want to get a little bit more advanced, or if you want to, just tweak out exactly what kind of soldier you're after or what kind of mystic you're after. You can do that, and there's sheets included in here to do that as well. You've also got the Game Master Guide and the Player's Guide, and that's what you're going to find on the front of this sheet. On the back of this sheet, it's a Starfinder Beginner Box components, and these are all the components that you're going to find that are in the Beginner Box. So we'll put that right out here, and we've got some awesome artwork of the iconic goblins that are in the Paizo universes. So we'll put that there. We then have a little bag of Standees. Something else really cool that you get in these box sets are actual little Standees that have fantastic artwork. So you got a whole bag of Standees, and they are the standard size here just your kind of standard size standee, as well as larger standees. So you got bases both for those standard as well as larger size there, which is really cool. And then a different colored one there for kind of something special that you'll get within the campaign. So you got your stands. You also get a bag of dice. So nice bag of dice are included. These are just kind of, I would say, standard dice, but they are nice dice. I mean, they have a good amount of weight to them. They aren't just your cheapy, someone that does a lot of RPGs knows what I'm talking about. Like, sometimes these packs will just be like, they're real light and plasticky feeling. These don't have that at all. These are actually like really nice. You almost get them out and feel like, it almost kind of seems like they're made of stone when you pull them out. They are very hard, a really hard material, and they carry a good amount of weight. So these are a really nice set of dice that you will get. They're kind of a grayish black color, a little bit of a fleck to them, and then white lettering. So really easy to be able to see. So you get your dice. There was a neat little promo pack that was here for Munchkin. So there is a Munchkin Starfinder, and there's a Munchkin Pathfinder as well. And here's a couple little promo cards that will go with those that you can only get in this box. So if you do play Munchkin and you have those variations of Munchkin, got you a few little, or a couple little promo cards that are in there. This was another thing that I thought was really awesome in this box set, which is, what can I do on my turns? This is almost like, from a board game perspective, you've got your player reference card. Very similar. So this is kind of like your player reference card in a board game, where on your turn, what can I do? Okay, well, I can move, or I can take an action, or I can do both of those things. And then what are the actions I can take? And it lists off the different actions that you're able to take on the front. It also tells you how to kind of do basic rolls. You roll your d20 and then you add your modifier. It's a very simple system. It also lets you know what happens when you do resting. And then all of these things have the exact handbook page number that aligns with that action if you want to look it up, if you need any more detail, or if you just happen to forget exactly what it does. It's right there. And I thought that was a great little addition of putting the page number, so you can just go directly to the book page number and know exactly what's going on. And then on the back, it's all of the standard conditions that would get applied to you as you're playing. For instance, flat-footed, frightened, hampered, helpless, impaired, on and on. There's just a few that are here, and it tells you exactly what those things do. And as a player, you don't really need to know, because your GM or DM, whatever term you want to use here, it would be GM. This would be the individual running the campaign, running the game, and when they want to hit you with one of these things, they're going to explain that to you. So the GM always needs to know the rule set a little bit better than I would say the players need to know. From a player perspective, you just need to show up with your character sheet, have some dice, and be ready to roll. So there's your conditions there that are on the back side of that. So really well done with these little reference cards. I really liked that when I got those out. Next thing is Obaziah came out of there a little bit. We'll go ahead and set her right up front. We'll look at those here in a minute. There was a fantastic map that is included in this box set, which I was actually really impressed with. It's a very thick map that you can actually, if you want, you can actually write on this with dry erase and then wipe that off. It's a really thick mat that's included. And on one side, you're going to get, it says right down here, let me turn it over the other way. It says Starfinder Flip Mat Beginner Box. So this is going to be basically a lot of the environment that you're going to be going through in this box set as you go through the campaign that's included here. It's definitely a shorter campaign because it's a beginner box set. Then you can start picking up the Starfinder Society like adventure path books to go deeper, or you can create your own if you're the GM and you want to create your own campaign. You can do that with all the the rules and the various different things in the environment. But this is going to be your map on one side, and then on the other side, it's just a standard combat battle map. So if you wanted to set up like a little side adventure or a standard combat, and you want to use more of an empty open space, or if you want to set your own terrain or your own things on this map, it's all set out for your 5-foot squares, like any other RPG. You can use this for that. It's also very reusable because, again, it's just kind of a generic open area that you can use this for about any type of RPGs or any type of tabletop combat game or strategy game that you may be playing. You could use this for that as well. Okay, so that's the map that you're going to get in. Really well done on the map. I was impressed with that. And now we're going to get into all of the character sheets and the different types of character sheets that are included. So there's two types. You've got the pre-gen, and then you have the ready to go, but you fill it in yourself. So we'll set those to the side for a second. Here are our pre-gen characters. You've got the soldier, and, well, let's go to each one we got. We got the soldier, we got the mystic, we've got the mechanic, the technomancer, the envoy, and the operative. And one very cool selection of different types of classes that you can play, and each one of those do come with a defined race as well. They've already set up for these pre-gens. If you want your own race with your own class, you can do that on your sheet here. If you're going to do that from scratch and kind of build it yourself, everything's right in the books we'll get to. It's very simple to do. But if you just literally want to sit down and start playing, this is the way to go. So let's look at Obaziah's, which is the character I will be playing live, starting streaming this Friday on Twitch with Band of Badgers. We talked a little bit about at the beginning of the video. So if you want the full, what is this, how to play, what's this box set, that's where you're going to find it. If you open this up, well, let's start from the beginning. In the beginning, it's going to tell you, well, you're a soldier. It's going to have this awesome artwork of Obaziah here. And then it's going to tell you a few things about the soldier, right? Be the strongest and the toughest, use the biggest weapons, wear the best armor, excel in melee and ranged combat. That's what this character is all about. So you can very quickly kind of look at the front and say, well, what is kind of my play style, or what do I think I'd like the best? And then you can just easily go with that. Once you open it up, there are a number of things inside that you'll find here where you'll get some character sheet information, ability modifiers. It just kind of tells you the high level sort of rules to the game. Some character information, a few different things around initiative and speed, and then you'll have all of your stats right here in these two simple blocks. And you'll notice that each one of these areas have like A, B, C, D. That corresponds in the book to when you level up. It'll say, hey, go to section E and update this value. Go to section G and add this value. So it makes it very simple from a player's perspective that you don't have to know or remember, oh, if strength increases, I need to increase my melee attack, or I need to increase. It tells you exactly what you need to do within that section, which I think is done really nice. So here you've got your ability modifiers, your standard abilities, strength, dex, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, and then the overall score for each one of those, as well as the modifiers that you'll use when you roll your d20. So if it was, hey, I need a strength check, you'll roll that d20. You'll say, I got a 7. You'll go here plus 3. My result is 10. How'd that do for me? Probably not very good. 10 wouldn't be great. Okay, we've got the racial traits. So there's a few traits that your race will give you within this game. For Obaziah here, we've got armor savant, we've got armor savant, we've got dark vision up to 60 feet, fearless, and natural weapons. So there's just a few special things that I would have as being a Vesk in this game, and this is the Vesk, this kind of reptile humanoid type being. There are class features. I got rapid response. That's something that I can just do. It allows me to actually have a better chance to go first when we get into combat and we roll initiative, which is very good for a soldier to kind of go in and tank and do some damage. And then we've got some feats. I've got coordinated shot. That's just something else I'm able to do. And these are all just pre-programmed and given to you. Again, if you wanted to make a soldier and start off with aimed shot instead of coordinated shot, then you'd want to do that in the book and add that in. But for these, it just says, hey, you got coordinated shot, and that's how we're going to design this character. Over here, we've got a little area that's got the name and the race and then the alignment. Obaziah is neutral character. We've got the pronouns, she and her. This is a level 1 soldier and currently at 1,300 XP. That will kind of tick down, and then once you achieve that amount of XP, you'll level up to 2nd level. And then it's got your initiative information as well as your speed. Then we've got some things here in defense, which would be your hit points, your resolve points, armor class, armor upgrades, all your fortitude, reflex, and will saves, and then all of the attacks and weapons that you would have that you'd be able to have at your disposal. From this character, I do have a melee weapon, which is like a big laser axe, which is really cool. There's a laser rifle that I have for ranged attack, and I do also have shock grenades that I can chuck at my enemies, which I'm going to have a lot of fun with, hopefully on Friday. As well as any proficiencies that you may have. What you'll find here are the special kind of feats and abilities that are listed here. There's just a little bit more information on those to tell you what they do. And then on the back, you're going to get some flavor text for your specific character and their background. So that's what these pre-gen ones are going to look like. And they're just really, really well done. So let's go over here and take a look at the ones that are completely blank. You do get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Again, this box set can handle up to 7 people, 6 players and a GM if you want to go that many. So on these, they are very similar to what you'll find here. It's just not going to give you all that extra detail. It's just going to have the areas and blank boxes. And then you will fill those in based on the rule set that's in the player handbook, which it's very, very simple. You just go through and do exactly what it says, and you pick a few things and fill it in. It's got a little space here to show each one of your dice. If you do have it sitting down and maybe you don't know what a D8 or a D10, these are new things to you, you can actually take your dice and set them right on, where they would go. You could, really the best way to do it is set it right next to where they would go. So then you just know, you need a D10. Oh, D10. Okay, boom, it's this one. I pull the D10 and then I'm ready to roll. So that's how that works and is designed, which is really cool. And then on the back, it does give you a little bit more area you can put your own character portrait. You can draw that or print something out and glue to it. There's a description, an adventure log, different things that happen. This is kind of where you can put all your notes, which is a nice little area there. There's also a little area under here to put notes as well. Okay, so that's what these sheets look like. I think these are actually really well designed too, and it's nice that you get both of those options, right? It's you get the one you can just fill out, or you get the one that is ready to go. So we'll put that on top. I love the artwork and how these are designed in that little booklet. Okay, the next thing that we're going to have are the awesome standees. So there are 3 sheets of standees that we're going to find here in the box. And these are really nice. I mean, not only are they a nice, thick, high-quality cardboard, they've got a really high-quality poppy color print to them, and the artwork is awesome. We'll get up close on some of these with the miniature cam, and you'll be able to check these out. But the artwork on these are just really, really cool. And what you'll find across this one here, you'll have all your main 6 characters that'll be right at the top of this one, and their name is called out right here at the bottom, so you'll know exactly, what Vesk you'll need to pick. Because again, here's another Vesk down here, but that's not Obaziah. Obaziah was right here, and here is the example of what that would look like when it comes out of the sheet and gets put on its base. So you got all your characters, and then you're going to have all of your NPCs. You're going to have monsters that you would run into. You're going to have your big boss, your big enemies that you're going to have to encounter and fight over the course of the box set campaign. And one of the things that you will find in this is that one thing that I really love about Starfinder are these the creativity to some of the NPCs, as well as the aliens and the different things that you go up against and you're going to fight in this game. They're just really cool. I absolutely love the Starfinder universe, just everything about Starfinder I love. You're on ships, you're piloting ships, you're blasting through space, you're going from planet to planet, you're warping from area to area, you're interacting with all these different types of aliens and their whole subsystems and cultures. It's just really cool So if you like the space travel, the alien kind of theme, the space theme, the fun fantasy from that perspective, you're going to love Starfinder. It's just so awesome. Okay, I'm not going to pop them out. I will look here on the exact count because I can't remember the exact count, but you have there's more than 80 full color pawns depicting diverse heroes and aliens. So there's more than 80 stand-up pawns that you get in this box set, which is awesome. I mean, think about another box set that comes with 80 stand-ups or 80 little, I mean, you can look at these and, I mean, you can essentially call these like little miniatures, but little stand-up miniatures. It's not out there. Like, this is one of the only box sets I know of that come with like all of these tons of stand-ups at such high quality to be used. These are not flimsy. They're super thick, high quality cardboard stand-ups, and again, the artwork is just awesome. They're just big enough to where you can really see the artwork. They're not real small where it's like, what is that? Like, you can see the artwork and you can kind of move those around that map. And again, that map is designed specifically for those bases to go right into those 5-foot squares and kind of move around. So awesome, so well done. All right, now we're going to get into the actual books that are included here, and then we'll take the conversation into, what is Starfinder? What are some of the things about Starfinder that might make it a little bit different than other RPGs out there? We probably will do some compare and contrast only with Pathfinder, because both Starfinder and Pathfinder are Paizo IPs. But we're definitely going to have other videos in time that will look at lots of popular, or let's just say other large popular IPs, and doing some compare and contrasts against those systems and those rule sets, and see which one is best for what types of situations, and really getting a good feel for the different types of options that are out there. Because when it comes to this kind of gaming, team, if you're not an RPG gamer, if maybe you've historically stayed with more the board game track, this is an awesome style of gaming as well, and it's a lot of fun. Again, the GM has to take on a little bit more responsibility, I would say, than the players, initially at least. But it's a great style and path of gaming as well, and you walk away with stories and adventures like you're not going to get in other tracks of gaming. So I highly recommend, if this is something that you haven't been interested in, or you hear a lot about it, but it's like, it's not really your thing, you might want to take a look, you might want to try it out. This is a great way to start your adventure. So Starfinder Society, this is the last thing you'll find in the box. This is where you go from here. So if you really want to go online, join the society around Starfinder, get into all the campaigns and adventures that are being released, they're like smaller modules that get released, this is where you're going to get all your information, and this is where it's all going to come from. Starfinder Society. You don't need this to go there. You can just go to starfindersociety.club, and you can check that out if you want to. On the back here, it just talks about the adventure continues, and it's got a few other things you can pick up. So if you do want to go past this box set, you're going to want to get the full-size core rulebook, which is right here. It's a much larger book, and it's going to have all the rules that you would need for the game. It's also full of a lot of what we would say fluff. So it's got a lot of the lore, the environments. It's got a lot of items. So it's not just all rules. You get this big giant book and you think, oh my God, like this is the barrier for me. Like this is why. Like I don't want to read this 600-page book. You don't have to. There's only a small section of that that's actually rules. A lot of the other stuff is for GMs, or a lot of the other stuff is just information on items and armor and how they work and the environments and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of it is I would consider lore. You've also got different books you can pick up, as well as the Alien Archive. I've got the Alien Archive right here. This is another book we're going to dive into for a video, which I'm actually really looking forward to, because this gets into all the really cool aliens that you can run into and the different beings across the universes. So that's really awesome. So put that back in the book. Let's dive into the two books that are included. So you'll see there's just two small books that are included. One of them is the Hero's Handbook. That's going to be for the heroes. And the other one is the Game Master's Guide, which is going to be for the GM. Let's go ahead and take a look at the GM's guide first, and we'll go through that, and then we'll go through the player's handbook. On the back, I will say there is a combat reference guide, which is nice. They put a little ref guide for the GM here on the back that's got general actions, common roles, combat round sequence, and how to remember how to measure distance. So we'll start there. One of the things that is a little bit different with Starfinder versus Pathfinder, or at least the ways that I've always played, is the way that distance is measured, specifically with diagonal movement. Generally, every square is 5 feet, but whenever you do a dash or movements, just a lot of movement diagonally, every other square is kind of an extra 5 foot of movement. And that's just, it's a way to limit. There's a lot of adventures within Starfinder that happens kind of inside of ships or on spaceships or in close areas. So it's a way to kind of limit movement, I think, from that perspective. There's a little bit difference there in how movement is measured. Other than that, it's the same as it would be any game. Every square is 5 feet. But that reference there is going to be for the GM here on the back of this book. If we get into the main book, and I'm going to skip the first 15, 16 pages of this, because the first 15 to 16 pages of this is the actual campaign that is in this box, which, again, I'm going to be a player in, streaming live this Friday, January the 15th, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch with Band of Badgers. So I don't want to ruin that for myself as a player, because if I know what's going to happen in the campaign and I know all the twists and turns, that's not going to be as fun for me as a player, and I may make different decisions based on that as a player as I'm playing Obadiah. So I don't want to do that. So we're going to skip past those first few areas. However, I will show you, if it doesn't glare off the light, try not to look, what you would kind of see. So, so basically what you're going to get there is going to be a layout for the GM that's going to show like maps, pictures, detail of the story, what kind of stuff you can throw at your characters, all of that kind of stuff. Traps, where they are, what kind they are, any NPCs, what happens if they make decisions one way or the other. All that information will be on these pages for the GM to go through. And that's the first part of the book. So we're going to go right to page 16, which is now just general game mastering. All through this, you are going to find really cool artwork, and everything's laid out really nicely, I find, in the Paizo products. I really like how everything is laid out in their books. It's very easy, very simple to follow along, and you get really awesome artwork along the way. So although some of these books may seem kind of large or longer, there's a lot of space taken up by examples, artwork, lore callouts, things like that. The rule set is pretty defined. Okay, so game mastering, a universe at your fingertips. We are now going to read the next 65 pages together. No, we're not going to do that. Okay, guide to game mastering. It's just going to tell you basically what your role is as a GM. It's going to list out a few things. You're hosting, masterminding, actor, right, as you go through that. There's some common terms it's going to go over. Running the game, setting the stage, how you do all that. So it's not just going to like drop you into this as a game master and say, okay, figure out how to be a game master. Here's your campaign. You could do that. You could technically just go to the campaign, not read any of this, and just sort of go through and tell the story. If that kind of stuff comes natural to you. It doesn't come natural to everybody. So that's what this stuff is for, is to help you understand how to go through that campaign, how to create these worlds, how to communicate those things to the players. And there's tips and tricks in this that you'll find. It goes over the dice rolling and the maps. It goes over running a session. Most important GM duty. Okay? Each one of those different things to go through that campaign. Rewards. How do you reward your players? How do you level them up? What does that mean to the players? Different values for treasure and the different types of treasures that you can find. Maybe you want to say, I want them to find like a minor treasure. There's that doorbell again. Oh, I know. I want them to find a major treasure. Well, if you want to find a major treasure, there's a D% roll, and then based on what they roll, they can roll a D100 and basically get a total, and then they get a major treasure. So just ways for the GM to do that. Building an adventure. This is all about building the entire adventure that you want to do. You can use this to enrich your campaign that's in your box set. You can also use this to then build your own adventures. If you want to advance and buy all these other books and do all that stuff, you can. You don't have to. There literally is enough content and enough rules and stuff, because all the base is here, to take what's just in these books, and you as a GM can start creating your own full-blown Starfinder campaigns. You've got the character sheets that characters can advance and fill in. You've got the base rule set in this book, plenty enough that you would need to run a full sprawling campaign if you really wanted to. All of these extra books are just to get into the real nitty-gritty of like different types of rules or new things that would be advanced that may not be in these books. So that's something to know as well. So you've got how do you build an adventure? How do you create this stuff by yourself as a GM outside of anything that would be there? Drawing a map, a location map, adding details, finishing the map. There's a full area on how do you design your own maps and what would that look like. Very cool. And you don't usually get this kind of stuff in some of your other RPGs. Additional quests. You've got all these additional quests that you can add on. The old radio tower, pest control, night thieves, haunted out. So it's all the additional quests you can just come up with and add on. Adventure hooks and storylines. This is really cool. So it's giving you sort of a table where you can just come up with an adventure hook or a storyline. Like, for instance, you could just roll a d12. So we'll grab a d12, okay? That's a d10. Here's a d12. I don't know why I grabbed the d10. Oh, nice. There's a percentage dial included in here. I didn't see this. This has got a percentage die in it. Very nice. Okay, so we grab our d12, and we roll that d12, and we got a 9. So we come here, and we see 9. A heavily populated area of large geological stable planet has recently experienced several violent and abnormal earthquakes. A local adventuring society partners with the planet's government to send the PC to the players to investigate the tremors. And signs point to a horde of invasive Kafax and an evil cult. So that would be your adventure hook and your storyline for that adventure that you would go on. So, if you want to just roll the die and come up with something that's already kind of pre-genned, there you go. Designing encounters. How do you design an encounter? And your adventure is going to be made up essentially of a bunch of mini encounters. Whether that encounter is with an NPC, it's with an enemy that you'd be fighting, it's a puzzle that needs to be solved. This is how you can design encounters. Okay, and this is cool. So we've got encounter types. So combat encounters, obstacle encounters, puzzle encounters, role-playing encounters, and obviously there could just be role-playing encounters, which is really cool. And you get a lot of fun stuff and memories out of that with your players. Story encounters, trap encounters, special consideration, terrain factors and encounters. There's just all kinds of different stuff. And it's all right there in the book, lays it out exactly what it would be, paragraph by paragraph. Adventures and campaigns. This is designing sort of how do you build a campaign that's sprawling, build a world that campaign lives inside of, and how you can go much deeper with your adventures. And this is where the adventure logs come in, where you're making logs of these adventures over the course of a campaign. And that might be moving from planet to planet. And again, that's what's so awesome about Starfinder is it doesn't just take place on a planet in a location of that planet, like generally you're going to get with other RPG systems. This takes place across the universe. So you're traveling from galaxy to galaxy, planet to planet, planet to moon. Maybe you're on a space station. Maybe you're then down on a planet in an area on a planet exploring something, and then back to some moon, and now you jump in a spaceship and jet warp across a galaxy. That's what's so cool about Starfinder is you're kind of all over the place in different types of thematic environments. Okay. What else we have here? So your environment, astronomical objects that you can run into within those environments, atmospheres that you're going to have to deal with, aerial terrain, forest terrain, hill and mountain terrain. This is so awesome. Marsh terrain, urban terrain, other terrains, environmental hazards that you can run into when you're on planets like ice, lava, radiation, fire. every planet isn't just, made for things to be on it, and you may have to travel there and wear special space suits to be able to interact on that planet. Structures and materials that you'll find throughout the game. There's different types of traps. Those are listed right out for the GM to be able to understand. Computers. Tech is a big thing when it comes to Starfinder. So you're going to run into upgrading your armors, upgrading your items. You're going to have tech that's built and computers that's built directly into your armor, like the personal comm, which is really cool. And different ways that those things can be used, accessed. It can be used in the benefit of the players as well. You got your main base station within this game, the Absalom station here that we have. This is a massive space station that's out there. It's going to talk all about that space station. Now you're going to get some pages that's about sort of the lore and the background of Starfinder, the galaxy. It's going to talk about the galaxy. You've got an awesome picture here of the Pack World system with the whole galaxy and a number of different places you're going to be traveling around to, and you can get to explore, and what each one of those areas are. Beyond the Packed Worlds, that's when you get into, let's go a little further with some of these other books. Communications, infospheres, and history and time. That's really cool. It goes around the lore of the history as well as any time gaps and the timing of how all this plays out and when it's taking place. Organizations and threats. In any RPG, you're going to have a level of organizations that exist that you're going to have role play moments with, and you're going to have to partner with. Maybe you betray, maybe you just use them for a certain thing, and you're going to hold statuses and alignments with these different organizations across this galaxy as well, which is really cool. There's different faiths and religions, just like any RPG that you can be aligned with. A lot of this is going to come in when you talk about like mystics or like cleric type characters that are generally get their powers or their psychic abilities. In this game, a lot of it is a psychic ability from their different deities. So you do have the faiths and the religions that are involved here. And that's all just kind of role play along with your character. And then you've got alien adversaries. So here's going to be a lot of the alien adversaries and the monsters that are going to be included directly in this box set, as well as some other ones, which all of those will get a full miniature standee that will represent that. It's going to give that stat block for any of those aliens and characters you would run into, and that's what these pages are going to look like. It's going to list the artwork, the name, and then the stat block and the abilities that monster is going to have, which you would only know that as a GM. You wouldn't want your players to understand this, because if your players understand what are these monsters' weaknesses or how do they really attack, that's something that you have to kind of find out as a player when you interact with one of these things. The Aeon Guard. Okay, what's the Aeon Guard about? Then the Aeon Guard starts to attack. Oh, that's the kind of attacks this Aeon Guard has. Okay, you try to do different types of attacks against it. It may deter some of the attacks, or those attacks may do a lot of damage. You learn that as a player as you play, and it's part of the fun of the game. And then after you know that, you can make notes and say, okay, Aeon Guards, this is how they roll. Like, these are their weaknesses, these are their strengths. And you can track all that stuff as players. You don't have to. You should. Because then if you go up against them in the future, which might be much later, then you know how to actually interact with that. Okay, so number of pages there dedicated to that. That's pretty much the rest of what I believe is in the book here, is all those things. Now I'm going to skim through pretty fast because I don't want to see it, because again, going live, playing this box set this Friday, January the 15th on Twitch with Band of Badgers. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do giveaways. Check it out. Okay, creature creation. You can actually create your own monsters and creatures if you want to. There's a page here that tells you exactly how to do it. There's also a random encounters where you can just do a die roll with your percentage die. So you need this one, and then you need your D10, and you will just roll these, and you'll say, oh, I got 22. That's right. Here's the ones place. Here's the tens place. Oh, I rolled a 22, and you go to this chart and say, okay, what's 22? Well, 18 through 24 is this Kasatha, 400 XP. Okay, which characters of level 1 would be going up against something like this. So it tells you like the character level and as well as the XP that it's gonna give you. So that's really good. We've got random space as well as wilderness. We can do those D100 rolls on, and then where to go from here. There's also a rules reference on some different ways that conditions work. And then there's also for the GM how to choose a target. It isn't, sometimes it's random, but usually as a GM, you don't just go after the weakest link every single time. You don't just go after, like, there are some thoughts around how do you choose a target, because that is the GM's choice when you get into combat. You're fighting something. You've got, players around the table. It's like, well, which one should I attack on this monster's turn? Here's some ideas around choosing that target and why you would do that one way or the other. And then an awesome piece of artwork there of our main base station on the back, which is really cool. I love this piece of artwork. I'd love to get a big poster with something like this on it. I'm going to look for that. I think that'd be awesome to have. Okay, that is the Game Master's Guide in totality. We'll put that there. We are now going to hit the Hero's Handbook. This will be a little bit quicker because we've talked about most of what you're going to find here. So right off the bat, how to create a character. Simple 3-step process. Well, it's actually an 11-step process, but very simple to start. You've got to choose your race, choose your theme, and choose your class. So in Starfinder, you pick the race you want to be, either android, human, Lashunta, Shiren, Vesk, or Soki is going to be your different races. You then have your theme. Do you want to be a bounty hunter, an icon, a mercenary, an outlaw, a priest, or a spacefarer? And then you choose your class. Envoy, mechanic, mystic, operative, soldier, and technomancer is what's going to be available in this. Now again, if you buy the Advanced Player's Guide, you buy the bigger book, you're going to get more options within those things. And they add new classes and races and things all the time. They test them first, and they add them into kind of the main flow of things. So there's a lot more option even than what's here. This is just kind of the base. You're then going to go through a set of other things, generate your ability scores, record your ability modifiers, add up your resolve points, choose your alignment, choose your skills, choose your feats, choose your equipment, finishing touches. And then you have your character. So one of the things that I will talk about here as something that's a little bit different for Starfinder versus some of the other ones is you have this thing called resolve points. These are like ways to get you out of the worst possible situations that you might fall into. So you could use resolve points to heal. So let's say you really get low in HP, your hit points, and you want to heal. Well, you can use one of your resolve points and take a 10-minute rest and heal back up half of your total hit points. So it's almost like a healing potion. In this game, healing is called healing serums, but it's like a healing potion. You can use it that way. You can also use these resolve points if you were to go to 0 or below hit points, you would effectively be knocked out in this game. And you could die. If you have these resolve points and you're at 0 hit points, unconscious on the ground, when it's your turn, you can choose to use one of them and pop back up with 1 hit point, and that's all you do for your turn. You can pop back up with 1 hit point and sort of get positioned. You can't pop up and attack. You can just, basically your turn is coming back up with 1 hit point. And then someone needs to get you healed before, it comes around and you get hit again. If you are down and you take damage while you are less or equal to 0 hit points on the ground, and you have a resolve point, you can just throw out that resolve point as like I sort of block your damage. Now, if you don't have any resolve points and you're down on the ground at 0 or less hit points, you're dead if you take damage. So those resolve points are very important. You want to strategically use them. And I love the fact of how they're designed in this platform, that you can choose to use them throughout gameplay to heal if you really need to, but you also have them to negate damage if you're less than 0 hit points, or to come back to life if you have 0 hit points. Or if you don't strategically manage your pool of resolve points, you can die as a character in the game, and then it's kind of game over. You need to create a new character. Now, in Starfinder, death isn't as permanent as I would say in a lot of the other platforms. There are kind of resurrection, we'll call them, like resurrection chambers and tech that the other characters could take basically your lifeless corpse. You become a soul and can travel around and still interact. If you want to role play that's kind of fun, but you can take your body, the other players can take it to a resurrection shrine or a resurrection tech and resurrect. Or if you can find a mystic that can cast a very, very high level psychic spell, you can resurrect a character as well. So death isn't as permanent in Starfinder. It's something to know, a little bit different than maybe in some other platforms. So that's really how death works in this game, as well as these resolve points. You aren't rolling dice and doing death save checks in Starfinder like you would other platforms. So just a little bit different in how that works. And your resolve points work different to how in Pathfinder your hero points work. It's a similar concept, but they do work different in what they do. So that's something to know if you do play Pathfinder. That's a difference for this game. This is also a single action system. So what that means is when it's your turn as a player, you're going to be able to move and take an action, or take an action and move. That is your turn. That is your turn as a player when you're in combat and those actions per person are in play. In Pathfinder is a 3-action system, and movement is included as one of those actions that you can possibly do within your 3 actions. So a little bit of a different action system. This is more traditional and closer to some of the larger RPG systems out there, like Dungeons and Dragons, where it's got that single action and movement when it's your turn, but different than Pathfinder that has the 3 actions. And I love both of those single action and 3 action systems. They're both very good. In some situations, it doesn't really matter if you have 3 actions or 1 action. It plays out exactly the same, but it is a little bit of a different system. It's just to know. And I think the single action with the movement is probably a little bit more straightforward. Probably a better place to start for folks if they want to get into the Paizo products. It's just a little bit more straightforward. You just kind of have that single action that you take on your turn. And you're going to find that here again back on your reference sheet, where you have each turn you take exactly 1 action, and you can move before or after you take that action. So what are the actions that you can take? There are attack actions, which is melee attack, ranged attack, hinder foe, and support fire. Hinder foe and support fire are 2 kind of newer types of things that are more aligned just with Starfinder. The hinder foe would be it would be similar to a grapple effect that you would get in other systems, but this literally takes away that threat's ability to do anything on its next turn. So you would essentially do a combat roll, and you would have to get that character, that whatever you're interacting with, you'd have to get its AC plus 6. So you have to beat its AC plus 6, which would be a good roll. I mean, it's a very powerful move. You're essentially saying, I'm going to try to hinder this foe, and on its next rotation, when it gets its turn for the next round, it doesn't get to take a turn. So all the players can just attack this thing like twice without it being able to do anything. So it's very powerful. You also have support fire, which is just a straight die roll. You just attack from a ranged position, and you just have to beat 15 or greater. Doesn't matter what whatever you're shooting at or whatever you're attacking's AC is, just 15 or greater, and you get to do support fire, which allows you to then make the decision of it has to take 2 less AC, or it's 2 less on its attack modifier when it rolls to attack players. I generally like to go with that thing gets 2 less AC, do that from the very beginning of a combat round, and then allow all the players to just, hey, this round we need to do a lot of damage because it only lasts for 1 round where they have -2 AC. So that's just something that's specific more to Starfinder and how that works. You can also use an item. So an item you might have attached to your armor and your backpack, whatever it is. You can use a skill, like a special skill. You can use a special ability. You can cast a spell. You can have an extra move. So you can just move twice, which is generally referred to as a dash, where you'll get twice the amount of movement. That's your whole turn. Let's say you want to reposition yourself and just, let's say on a round you want to reposition yourself and run around the room and get close to the enemy. And then on your next turn, you might want to do hinder foe. So that might be something you're trying to do as a larger character to hinder that foe. Or the last thing you can do is just straight defend, which I really like that they have this action in Starfinder as well. You can just say, I'm going to move, and then I'm going to defend. And that just essentially means you're going to take up a defensive stance, and you get +4 to your AC until your next turn. So if you think that the order of initiative to a combat round, like you're out there and then there's going to be a few enemies that are going to take a turn and maybe you're next to them and you just feel like you're going to get clobbered, it's probably smart to just take up a defense stance and take your defend action and get +4 to your AC, which will make a huge difference in those enemies being able to attack and successfully get a hit on you. Because you have to roll to see if you can get through the character's AC, and if it's a hit, then they can roll damage. They can't get through the AC, you're not taking any damage unless it's a special ability that doesn't matter. But generally they have to hit you to be able to damage you. So that's where that defend really comes into play. Okay, those are some things that are going to be a little bit different for Starfinder in comparison. Those are most of the things you're going to find in this system that are going to be specific to Starfinder or different than something like Pathfinder. So let's go into the Hero's Handbook here. It starts off with the whole solo adventure we talked about, which I thought was a really cool touch for that solo adventure. There's a lot of examples of a playthrough here. Getting started, basic concepts, and then most of what you're going to find past this in this book is setting up that character, class suggestions, how to pair classes with some of the classes and races fit really well together, and then it's going to have each one of them, which is nice. Let's go to Obadiah here, and I'll show you what this is going to look like, because I'm going to need this Friday when I play this live on Twitch. So it's going to show you what you need to do when you level up. So this box set includes the first 4 levels of the character. Start at level 1, you'll go through up to level 4 with what's all included here. It will tell you right here in these areas, in these boxes, simply what to do when you level up. And it's real simple. Like, hey, when you level up to 2nd level soldier, you get a weapon focus. Pick one of these things. Go to section D and G. We talked about how these sections were labeled. Update, add 1 to this value, add 1 to this value, add 1 to this value, add to your hit points, add 14 plus your constitution modifier. Go to section F. Write weapon focus along with the type of weapon you choose in section F. So it tells you exactly what to do, and you can do it really quick right on the fly. Level 3, level 4, everything's here. And every character has one of these right in the book. So it almost is like when you're playing and your characters don't even need to know, well, what do I do when I level up? Here's the book. Turn to your character class. Do exactly what it says right here. And it's very simple, very straightforward. Okay? Each one of the characters have that. So we'll kind of go past that. And then it's going to list out like special abilities and all the different feats in the game that are available. You can read through each one of them. If you're interested what like other characters' feats do, it just lists them right out here in the books. A couple sentences for each one. It's no big deal. It also has, which is really nice, Paizo nails it from this perspective. It's got the picture of each one of the different types of folks that can have this medical expertise. So you know very quickly which characters actually can even have that feat. Just because a feat is in a book doesn't mean you can have it. You may have to be a special race or class to be able to pick up that feat. The equipment that's available, again, this is all going to be auto-allocated. You don't have to worry about it unless you want to customize all the armors that you have, all the melee weapons that are involved, the small arms, long arms, grenades, weapon fusions that are available. So you can do like some crafting type stuff, which is really cool. adventuring gear, and then magic items. And then there's a number of tables here where you'll find different things, playing the game, how to go through each one of those ability checks and skill checks, all very, very simple. There's a small thing here on starships, the drift starship manufacturers, which is really cool. Talks about different types of starships and kind of how that combat works. Combat movement, actions. You can see there's just literally like a page and a half for all of these things. It's very simple, very quick. Casting a spell, saving throws, death, and then it ends it with each one of the conditions that you can get put on you as a player and the details on those. Again, all of that you're going to find right here on your reference card. You won't even have to go here. It's all right on your reference card as a player. And then it ends with an extended example of play if you want to read through. Shows you how to level up. Again, we already went over that. And then beyond 4th level, how do you take it from there? And that's what basically the rest of this book is. It's going to end with a glossary. And that's the whole Hero's Handbook for the Starfinder box set. So you can just see how awesome this box set is, everything that's included, how rich, how much content you're getting here, and how well designed this box set is, all for a fairly low price point. You can check this out. You can find it a number of different places online, whether it's your favorite online gaming store, Amazon, your local friendly game store. You can get this a lot of different places. It goes for a range of prices, but they're all reasonable, and it does come for a very low price point for everything that you're getting here that's included in these box sets. So I guess shout out to Paizo. Phenomenal product design and work with these box sets. I'm very impressed with the quality and what you're getting here. If you have not checked out Starfinder before, team, highly recommend checking out this box set and checking out this IP. Super fun, lot of good stuff. And don't forget, this Friday, January the 15th, we are starting the full live playthrough of this box set on Twitch with the Band of Badgers channel. Check that out, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's going to be a ton of fun. We're going to do giveaways, and there will be 2 sessions that will make up this box set. First one being this Friday, January 15th. Second one being January the 29th. Don't miss. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll look for people in the chat. If you are there, do a shout out and let us know that you're coming from the McGuire Review, coming from the team. Hope to see you there this Friday. And hit that like, click the subscribe below to join the team. Keep rolling them crits. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time.